Hey fellow tennis nerds, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Tennis. It's been mostly Indian Wells. There's been some gear changes and some upcoming reviews all in this weekly episode. So I hope you enjoy it. So I'm recording this on the 17th of March. It's a Sunday. I've just watched highlights of Alcaraz and Sinner. What a matchup that is. That's the kind of modern Nadal-Federer kind of matchup. Maybe more in style like Novak Nadal, but it feels like two goats in the making in a way, although we don't want to hype them up because, you know, winning Grand Slams is not a piece of cake. But the way Sinner's been playing this year has been amazing. This was his first loss, and I didn't predict him to lose this match. But on the other hand, Alcaraz is very, very at home at Indian Wells. It's a slow court with some good bounce, really captures the spin, and he likes that. Did you watch the match? Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. It was a bit of a topsy-turvy one. Alcaraz started slow, a little bit nervously maybe. It was a pretty big occasion here, and lost the first set 6-1. Then in the second set, Sinner admitted to this himself. Like he took, you know how it is when you play matches yourself. You might take it goes a bit too easily, you mentally check out a little bit, or you enter some kind of just, you know, I'm gonna put the ball back and this guy is gonna miss mode. And it happens on pretty much all levels. And in this case, I think Sinner thought the match would go a little bit easier. You know, he said that in the comments, like that Alcaraz was struggling, and it made him play a little bit more passively, maybe a little bit more like that metronome baseline player he can be. He hits hard always, but he can also be super steady and just put the ball back. And when Alcaraz found his stride, who's a more of aggressive player, coming forwards and so on, Sinner couldn't really deal with that aggression and the variety in the game. And I think he alluded to that he got a little bit two-dimensional on the court. He needed to mix it up a bit more, and he didn't. So I think that was one of the reasons that the match turned out the way it did. So we had that nasty tumble, and then the elbow kind of bothered him on serve. That's what he said in the press conference. No matter what, this was a bit of a topsy-turvy match, but it had some amazing shot making, as should be, between these two guys. And it's kind of like a positive vibe for tennis. I sometimes sound negative about tennis on the Tennis Nerd podcast, as do my guests, but we try to always do it in you know, the best interest of tennis, and it's love for tennis. It's the passion we share, right? So when you see these two guys battle it out in this kind of like shot making kind we've never seen, I think tennis is in a good place. You hear the oohs and ahs and the kind of strong engagement from the crowd. That's a great feeling, great vibe. So top match, really enjoyed the highlights. I mean, it was played when I was sleeping, so I couldn't do much about that. I'm not so crazy that I'm gonna stay up all night to watch this match, but you can do a replay or get some ideas from the highlights. Definitely a bit of a return to form for Alcaraz. You know, people have been questioning him. I think he showed in this match and in this tournament that, you know, he has not gone away, or he has not changed. This guy is still here. He's still gonna win titles and be a super threat. Will he win 20 Grand Slams? I would say most likely not, but he will win many Grand Slams for sure. Is Tommy Paul one of the more improved players in tennis on the men's side? Yes, he is. He's been playing really well this year. He has shown in recent times that he belongs, I think, in top 10. He's a top 10 player now. The way he plays, he started very well against Medvedev. Ultra aggressive, good volleys and everything. 6-1 first set. Medvedev, you know, he never gives up. He's gonna be there. He's gonna find new ways of battling. He's the chess player on the tennis court, right? So he had a 4-love lead in the second set. Kind of went away. Tommy started playing better. It got into a tiebreak, and there Medvedev was a bit too good. So turned into a third set where the sign that Medvedev is the better player was a little bit clearer then, but still like a big step in the right direction from Tommy Paul. We can definitely see his potential when he's playing well. But Medi, you know, we gotta love him. He's a funny guy on court. Maybe you saw that spoof he had with Rune about his short shorts. They did the diaper pull, so that was pretty cool. And we all like Danil. But will he win against Carlos? It will be tough, because Carlos, as I said, loves these courts. It suits his style. Medvedev doesn't like the slow courts, he says, but he seems to play pretty well on them, so you can't take too much consideration into that. The head-to-head is 3-2 to Alcaraz, and this is boding well for him. and he did win the last 2 counters. So yes, I'm going to predict an Alcaraz win 2-1 in the men's Indian Wells final. Then we have the women's final between Swiatek and Sakkari. Sakkari back to her form and also back to her old racket. That's the Wilson Pro Open, which is painted like a Wilson Ultra. She was testing the shift for a while, and maybe she noticed, like I have and many others, that the shift can be a little bit erratic at the times. You know, it's not maybe as dependable as they would have hoped. It's a nice feeling racket, plays nicely with good power and spin, but you miss a little bit of the confidence to go for your swings. I'm not sure whether she felt that or she just wanted to go back to what she knows, which is sensible, I think, because she was a little bit off her game. But definitely playing a lot better here, likes the conditions, been in the final before, 2022 against Iga Swiatek, where she lost in straight sets. And surprisingly, maybe to many of you, she has a leading head-to-head record against Swiatek. She leads 3-2. However, the last 2 encounters they played, Swiatek has been too good. And I believe in this match, considering how much she likes the courts, playing a bit like Alcaraz on the women's side, I think she will win this one also in straight sets. But it's nice to see Sakkari back in action, back playing well. And sometimes it helps to go back to your old rackets. Kind of takes the worries that you're playing with the wrong gear or the gear in your head out of the setup. Like the head is so important in tennis, as we all know, and thinking about gear is not the way to go about playing tennis on a high level. So that's really what I think could have helped her in this case. That's Indian Wells, wrapping that up. Miami coming next, but we can stay in the gear trenches a little bit. We have seen Andy Murray. I mean, he's a proper tennis nerd, loves his gear, loves talking about gear, loves thinking about gear, has been with his PT57A for his whole career pretty much. He did have a period of dabbling with the Prestige MP Lite, that 99 square inch 1619 pattern, but he used it with the layup, what's inside the racket, how you layer the graphite. He used it with his PT57A layup, so he wanted that kind of similar feel from the racket. He's been struggling this year, and now he's trying to get more power. I'm not exactly sure if this is the same racket that he used before, or if he's tinkering even more, trying some different molds. It's kind of hard to tell from pictures, so we will see how he does. I always like to watch Murray. I like to see his love for tennis and his internal struggle of like trying to find that old form. So I think he deserves a lot of praise for that instead of just giving up. So and who knows, you know, maybe he can find something, and we'll see if the racket can help. I mean, I've made countless videos about Murray's racket, and I always thought that he should at least try and push a bit harder to try a new frame. I think it's becoming more and more of a sport where you need some power from the gear, and you can't only rely on the control because it's not enough. I know that the players can generate so much pace these days, even with a PT7A, but it needs to be so heavy then. And if you see that with players like Cerundolo is also using the PT57A, that it's so low power that he has it like at a crazy spec, like 370 swing weight, if I remember correctly, and similar with Murray. So you need to get that swing weight so high to get power from the frame. That might hamper maneuverability, so a lighter racket can give you a little bit more and a bit more forgiveness when you're defending, which is Murray's life most of the time on the tennis court. He's defending a lot, so we'll see what he can change up and how we can affect his game. I'm stringing up this Pure Strike 100 1620. I've tried this quite a lot with a few different string setups, and this is the last string I will test in it before the review. This is a new string from Restring called Sync. It's a round one, a little bit more controlled than their pretty popular Zero, which was a more focused on spin and launch angle. This would be probably more up my alley in terms of my own personal play, so I'm quite curious to try it. It feels a bit like an RS Lyon, a little bit softer than Olive Power's string while stringing, but I will take it out on court, and first impressions will go on my members page, Patreon or YouTube members. New videos every Monday, but also like rackets for sale and possibility to write comments and get prioritized replies, and chat function also on Patreon. So thanks to you guys who support and help. I also have reviews of the Blade 98 1619 coming up. I have a lot of shoes I need to finish reviews. I've been using them a lot, but not been reviewing them. Shoes like the GP Challenge from Nike, which has been a really good good and positive surprise for me. And some new head shoes, which I've also been enjoying, especially the Revolt Pro. So this string I will test. I will also test new string from the Italian company string project called Sirius, which is a polyester string. It looks and sounds like it's a bit softer. I haven't yet tried it, so this will happen also starting today. So there will be more reviews to come. I know some of you are waiting for the 6200 Tour. I will try to do that. The 6200, probably some other reviews. The Blade 100, which I haven't received yet. So there's stuff to come for sure. You just make sure you subscribe and stay in tune, and more content to come. Trying to find a way to manage everything because it's quite tough as a one-man band. So I might need to get some editing help or something. If someone knows someone who wants to do tennis nerd editing videos and the reels, please send over the contacts, because I think I start to need help now. It's getting a little bit too much. On a personal note, I played an ITF Masters event, which is the new name for seniors. It's for players that are 30 years or older, and you play in different age groups. Doubles is usually quite open because there's not as many teams in the doubles. We play doubles with my friend who's been on the channel many times, Daniel Rutkowski, great player. Who's saved my ass multiple times. I'm not a natural born doubles player. I tend to struggle in that format because I never play, but it's fun. I like doubles nowadays more than I did before. We managed to win the title in doubles after a hard-fought final match. We had to save 3 match points and eke it out at 13-11 in the match tiebreak. My singles play was horrific. My doubles play was also tough. Luckily there I had Daniel who could cheer me up or push me a little bit, but yeah, if you're not mentally in a good space for tennis, to compete is tough. Like, I mean, you really can see that sometimes on the pro players, like if they're not feeling it, that they're not ready to compete. So it all goes downhill. And that's how I've been feeling. I lost my singles matches, was not playing good tennis, but I'm happy to win the doubles title. It's always teaching you something, you know, playing these tournaments can be like a anxiety-ridden experience sometimes, which this time it was for me. There's also like a process of growth and challenging yourself and finding solutions in tough spots. So I will try to use that. That's about that. I will do a little bit more in-depth recap of that tournament on Patreon. And for Tennis Nerd members, sadly, I have no footage because I've noticed that a lot of people don't want me to film. Like, not me personally, but a lot of people don't want to be filmed in these ITFs things. Probably even more on the senior side than on the junior side for some reason. So I kind of gave up on that a little bit because I have gotten several no's now. So it's like I feel like, you know, I'll just try to focus on my own game and not change and bring 65 different rackets to every match, which has been the problem. And I'm not yet settled on what I should play with because the CX 400 Tour was flying a little bit for me within my game. So I couldn't quite trust it. Anyway, more about that on Patreon and for YouTube members. That's it. Have a nice day and don't forget to play some tennis. Oh, and PS, check out the Tennis Nerd Deals page. There is 10% discount on Tennis Warehouse Europe with TNerd10. And there's always new, like you can get an ERT 10% off. So there's always discounts and deals there if you want to get a little bit of a better deal on strings, shoes, whatever. That's it. Don't forget to play some tennis.